Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's be clear. The tax increase will damage economic growth. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says the idea of this new tax is not something businesses would look forward to, saying, and I'll quote, "The government should be able to recognize that taking money out of the economy for health care premiums is especially going to make tough economic times even more tougher. Now is not the time to introduce new taxes on Albertans." Premier, will you back down from the most dangerous tax when Albertans are hurting the most?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear that we are not going to entertain a health care premium, Mr. Speaker, that was done in the past. Mr. Speaker, that was a regressive task. It was hard on low-income wage earners, Mr. Speaker. I just asked the member across to stay tuned for the budget tomorrow.
Minister, it's a tax. Raising taxes when times are tough shows a serious lack of imagination for economic and fiscal policies. It's unoriginal and short-sighted and will hurt our ability to grow the economy. What takes real courage is looking in the mirror and staring back at the fine china, the MLA palaces, the billions in perks and pays for managers, and getting your house in order. Premier, please, will you stop this tax and finally get serious about cutting the layers of PC fat across government while protecting frontline services?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker, that we are looking after frontline services. We've made it very clear to Albertans in our talks across the province that we'll look after our core services in health care, in education, our most vulnerable, our seniors, Mr. Speaker. We will do what we have to do to streamline our programming and reduce our spending, Mr. Speaker, in a very pragmatic and practical manner so that we do not put this province into recession and we do not kill jobs for Albertans, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, you're killing jobs for Albertans because you couldn't keep your fiscal house in order.
Exactly.
Here are the facts, Premier. While Albertans are hurting, PC politicians and managers have never had it so good. While you drain billions on golf courses, fine china, new MLA offices and corporate payouts, you are asking Albertans to pay more. This tax will mean less for the economy and more money for misguided PC priorities. The idea that you can tax your way back to prosperity is not how we build this great province. Premier, please, on behalf of Albertans, will you step back from this awful, misguided policy before it's too late?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's awful rich coming from the Leader of the Opposition and her comments about fine china and spending, Mr. Speaker. I would suggest, Mr. Speaker, that the government has been very clear in talking to Albertans that we're going to take a three-lever approach to the situation it faces, Mr. Speaker. We are going to get our budget in balance, Mr. Speaker, moving forward. We're going to do it in a very constructive and a very pragmatic manner to make sure that we don't put any undue hardship on our working poor, Mr. Speaker, or our most vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, we will make sure that we have a budget that is in the best interest of Albertans moving forward over the next 10 years, so we are in the best position of any province in the next decade, Mr. Speaker.